I woke up like, I don't know, like half an hour ago or some, and then I decided it would be a great idea to quickly, in quick succession, eat like 6 peaches or something. It's like,
Six
oh,
peaches. What? 6 peaches?
yeah,
Okay, well,
great idea.
yeah, that sounds like something that a completely normal, average human being would do. Just yeah,
Did.
no, you mean I've done stuff too. You know, it's. But no, I've never had that inclination. Right. So, how are you? Apart from the nausea, are you doing well?
Yeah, yeah, I am. Other than that, I'm good. Good.
Cool. So, how do you feel about the last session we had? Do you feel like
Oh, it
we
was awesome.
it was awesome. Oh,
I
thank you.
loved
That
it.
makes me it makes me so happy to hear that, because I realized something, that like I am not a streamer. Like I'm just not that person. Because the last session that I recorded had like, apparently I couldn't connect the audio correctly, so we'll just do it this time instead. So I was
All right.
thinking that let's do you still have the project that we were working on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. So let's continue that process. Let's improve that to-do list a little bit. Let's add a few features, and then if we make it, because like we don't have forever to do it, but hopefully we'll make it to a point where we can start introducing some more complicated concepts.
All right.
Hmm?
Sounds peachy.
Yeah.
Sounds.
Oh wow.
As they would
Wow.
say.
No, no, I'm sorry. I can't give you that. Word puns are the lowest form of humor. I'm just gonna let you just sit there.
Uh, yeah. Okay, okay.
I
I'm just
have,
trained by my colleagues in the US. They love it.
yeah,
They
and
they they do it all the time.
my colleagues love it for some reason as well, and I just don't get it. Why? Like, why? It's like
I just
stay.
play the game.
It's extra nice. It's so unclever. It's just all right. Do you know how to share on? So you just hit share screen,
I will
and
find out.
all right, cool. Let's see if the video quality on this one is a little bit better. Since
Okay.
I am a poor programmer, I don't actually own a webcam, so I'm streaming I have two sessions running now. So I have my laptop filming my very dark face right now.
Oh, oh,
Then
that's why.
yeah, that is why. That is exactly why. Because honest to God, like I realized today that, oh shit, I need to like have a video camera or something like that, and I couldn't connect the my PC to the Hangouts correctly. So I was like, all right, let's just use Zoom.
Okay. It says here that host disabled participant screen sharing.
What?
So you have to enable
No.
something.
Multiple participant. Let's see here. Can I give you stop make host? Uh,
Oh fuck! I
wow.
shouldn't have ate the peaches. Oh, I forgot.
Multiple participants can share simultaneously. Advanced sharing option. Who can share all participants? Yes, let's try it now. Did that do anything for you?
Here you go. Yeah, I did. Did.
Yes.
I share the
My
screen.
Zoom skills
Then
are advanced.
nice. Teach me, master.
Wow. Yeah. Again, I will let you to just kind of. you just You're just starting off with the weird comments today. You are, aren't you? All right.
Ah,
Cool. So here we have all the code we wrote last time.
I thought that's established like phrases. What I'm using.
Yeah.
Are
Well,
they?
yeah.
No.
Maybe they are. Maybe they are.
Well, my colleagues in the US, they use it all the time. So I was like, oh, that's how people talk. So feel free, weird it out.
Yeah, I will. Well, I am from a different culture after all. I
Yeah.
just that's how it is. But let's kind of reiterate on what we've been doing so far. So we basically just set up create like a basic React application with create React tab inside of IntelliJ, which practically took care of the whole thing for us, which is something that I would like to address at least at some point, because I'm not a big
Okay.
fan of having magical tools that just do everything for you when it's very well, unless it's very it's not really so important to understand the underlying things, but I will argue that this is actually very important to understand. So this to-do application that we made here is fairly straightforward, right? So we just have a return statement with some hello world, and we created a list component and a form component that allows us
I
to submit some stuff.
hold on. You record your like webcam too, or
Yeah,
no?
basically
Because
all of it.
yeah, okay. So the lighting
I
on
know
you
it's
is
absolutely horrible because
yeah.
I have no face light at this point, and I don't even
Okay.
own a desk lamp. I swear to God, I don't own a desk lamp.
Okay.
So we're just gonna
Yeah,
have to roll with this
that's all
today.
right. It's okay with me. I was just concerned about your video quality, you
My
know.
video
So
quality. Well, if you've
yeah.
seen any of my other videos, how much do you reckon that I care about video quality? It's not that much.
Mm,
uh,
uh,
let's
Come on, there are like lots of much worse like video quality wise. You
is
even
there
bought like the second camera or whatever, you know, like
does that help? I can sit like this with my camera and just kind of
oh yeah, it does help a little bit, but
wow.
not much,
No,
not much.
exactly. Let's just roll with it. I'm fine.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
So I'm thinking that a feature what I would like to add to this to-do application of ours is let's add the ability to remove stuff. Because
Ooh.
basically right now all you can do is to add a to-do, but you can't
Mm.
actually remove a to-do. So let's go into the list component there with all the to-dos.
Uh-huh. So what? Oh, here it is. Okay.
So here you'll see that, oh yeah, we are mapping over all of these to-dos. We're mapping a string over to a list item. So I'm thinking that we should add a way for us to remove one of these to-dos. So the
Okay.
question
So
is,
we want IDs of some sort to identify them or something.
I don't think we need an ID since the to do in of itself is going to be the ID for now. It kind of depends because if we're only using strings, that means that if we're going to filter out and remove the to do that we clicked remove on, well, if it's the same string in two places, then it's going to remove both of those elements. But I think that that's fine because if we wanted to be really super specific about, all right, if you remove one to do, then you don't see remove the other one just because they're the same.
So we will be searching the elements by their text.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. That's what we're gonna do. But before we can do that, I think we should add a button or something here, right? That can be clicked so that we can actually interact and remove the thing.
Oh, we put it somewhere. Where's the? Okay,
Okay.
here, I
Exactly.
suppose.
Yep. I think that what
Uh,
you should do here is probably break this down onto two lines, right?
okay.
Because right now you're actually adding an input after the list item, and that's not going to work. You need to put it inside of the list item tags.
Okay.
So it's probably easier if you just copy paste all of the code inside of the parentheses of the map function. Because now if you just go back to what you had
Okay.
previously,
Yeah,
because
sure. I can copy. Yeah, I have that.
you,
And there is one extra thing which I did over
exactly.
here.
So you
So
copy paste that,
I have it.
and you can cut or rather cut it out and then say return and then curly braces and then just create some space there. Uh,
Return and curly braces.
yeah, no, you
All
need to
right.
do curly braces and then return. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, curly braces and return. Okay. So lambda session, lambda. Yep.
Yep.
Multi-line lambda.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, the thing that you had earlier was also a lambda or a closure. It was just that it was a one-liner, and in JavaScript,
Mm-hmm.
if you have just one single line in a closure, you can just omit the return statement, and it will all automatically understand that, oh, this is the element that you're gonna return. So it's the
And the
same.
curly braces. Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly. It is the same thing. It's just that now we're being more explicit because we're gonna need more space. So
Uh-huh.
as we can see there between the curly braces of the to-do on line 12, that is the string that is going to be rendered to the DOM. It's the thing that we're going to show basically. But that's not all we want now. So we want to add next to that to-do string like a button that says, I don't know, remove. You can just make it a button, I think. Or maybe, yeah, maybe that's the way. Oh, look at you going old school. Well, I'm not sure that's old school or if it's just a different way of doing the same thing. It's just
That's the only way I know.
okay. It's the only way
How
you
else would
know.
you do it? Yeah.
Okay, all right. Then if you remove that and you say instead of input, you say button, just button instead of input. No, no.
Oh.
If you remove the type attribute and you say button instead of
Oh, just as a attribute. Okay, okay.
no, no,
Like
no, no.
so.
Remove input. There's a button tag, button,
Oh,
and
okay.
then you close that.
Oh, oh, God, I mean, definitely
And
that exists. Okay, and
yes,
remove.
exactly, and just remove.
Yeah.
So if we go to the page now, you should be able to see a button on the in the to-do app.
Okay.
Mm.
Chrome. Chrome, I say. Come on. Oh, not this page. This one.
Are you running the server?
Oh, no, of course I'm not. That was.
It's gonna be,
I don't remember.
I think
That
it's
was.
yarn
But
start.
yeah, and I would find it in the MD file, right?
Yeah.
If I would forget and I didn't have Frederick on the phone, yeah, I would find it in here. Okay.
Yep.
And start, go.
Don't feel stressed about this, dude, because I have the same problem. I have a coworker who claims that, oh, we should mob code absolutely everything all the time, and I keep telling him that is. It depends a little bit on the people that you're dealing with, if that's going to work or if it's not going to work. Because if I'm dealing with a
Yeah.
really hard problem where I'm trying to focus, it's actually really disruptive to my thought process to have someone in my ear talking all the time, because I can't focus on deep thinking, and that is usually how I like to think. Like,
Oh, that's the thing. You don't. I think that in a mob programming, you don't have to talk all the time. Like that would be also one thing which people will learn. Like after doing it some while, like when someone like stuck on that, like yeah.
yeah, maybe it's just him then. Well, I do
Mm,
talk a lot as well, but anywho,
I mean, it's thing to learn too. This kind of cooperation.
yeah. So here we have our
Yay.
remove buttons. Awesome. So if we click those, nothing's gonna happen, right?
Yep.
So now we need to add some functionality to these buttons so that we can actually remove elements from our list as well.
Sure.
So let's go back.
So to the future. That was in the list.
Mm-hmm. So now we need to add a onClick function or something like that to the button. So if we say on click, which is if you do that with camel exactly, and then we've learned about these curly braces, which means that all right, you can do this two ways. You can either just do a string, which is going to give it a literal string input, or you do curly braces and then you can pass any value, like a function, an array, or a number. It doesn't really matter. You can pass anything into this. You can even pass a string if you want to. But so the onClick function, if you hover that signature, since we're using TypeScript, it should tell you what the signature of that onClick function should be. So if you hover the onClick attribute,
Not
the
be empty.
onClick attribute,
Maybe. Okay.
exactly. So you see there it says event react mouse event. Let's just copy paste that signature there because we want to have the signature. So that function there is going to take a mouse event. Yes.
Or undefined. Okay, either it will be this function or it will have like nothing in there. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Undefined. Okay. Bam.
Well, you should probably not put it in there. That's going to be a little bit too much to read, I think. So it's probably better to add this function declaration to higher up in this function here. So if you add it between lines 7 and 8, that should probably be a good fit. So we say const, exactly. Nice.
JavaScript, here we go. Take user. More, yeah, even more like so. Bam. Oh no, it was one less one. Never mind. Dun, 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 and on click, here go our curly braces and our remove function reference go in here.
Exactly. So the thing that is not correct now is that you have created a function called remove function and then you put the declaration inside, but what that entire part there, event react mouse event, should go into the parentheses of our remove function. So if you just move up everything that is between the parentheses on line 9 up to the parentheses on line 8, that should give you not the void part, just the input, because that's going to be the return statement. So you yeah, exactly, you grab this part here and you put that in the parentheses of remove function.
In here.
Yep, exactly like that.
Okay, now I have extra thing in here, and then
that's gonna be fine. You can just remove the stuff on line 9.
Okay.
So now you have your event.
And how would I specify like the output? So this is the input, and then I would say this.
Exactly.
That would be okay.
So now you've specified that you have a remove function. It's going to take a mouse event, which is going to, and that in of itself has a HTML button element, and then that's going to return void because this function returns nothing. So now what we want to do is, let's say we want to console log some stuff. We want to just see what we actually get. So let's say console log dot log and then event dot target dot value. And then let's just click this button a few times and see what happens.
Okay. Failed to compile. The value, he doesn't like the value.
And the value isn't, if you look at the, if you hover that, it's going to tell you that that's most likely not there. It does not exist on event target, exactly. Because what, as we did, you remember that we were doing this the last time when we were dealing with forms, but the problem is that the button that we're clicking in this scenario is not what we want. There's no value associated with the button element. So what we're trying to do here is basically that this event is being dispatched and it's associated with the button element, which means that the event.target is pointing at the button. Does that make sense? Event.target is the button, and then we're saying .value, but the button has no value. It's not an input. It's not an input element. It's just a button that we interact with.
Okay.
So what we we don't want to do this. What we want is to get the to do, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
so
the list. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how can we, from this remove function, pass in the to-do instead of getting this event? Because the event is kind of, well, it's a little bit pointless, really. We don't really care about the. Well, we can use the event. There are things we could use it for, but we can't get the to do. So
Mm-hmm.
we need to figure out a way to get the to do string into this function. And there are a few ways we could do this. So one way would be to say that, all right, maybe if we take this function here and we put that between line 15 and 16, well, then we could, well, there's, oh yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of weird that this way of writing, but yeah, you could put it here. You could create the function here, and
Mm-hmm.
then you could reference the to do, because you're passing in the to do to the map function directly from here. So let's try that. Let's take
Yeah.
line 8 and
Okay.
11 and put it here.
And next you will tell me that we can pass it as a parameter, right?
Of course I will.
All right. I
Yeah.
will wait for it.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to wait for it. You can jump directly to the end of my attempt here to walk you through a multi-step process to just.
Okay, so it would be like this, and I can take in some
You can remove
da-da-das.
the event if you wanted to,
Yeah,
pretty much,
so okay, but
or you
I
can keep it.
input will be the element, right?
Yeah,
So
no,
I
you
would
can.
like to keep that.
No, you don't want to keep anything of the event. You can, because we're not going to use the event in this scenario. There is one scenario when we would want to use the event,
Mm-hmm.
because an example would be, let's say that you had a form, and let's say that inside of the button existed within that form, and you didn't want the form to be submitted if you clicked the button. Then you would have to prevent the default behavior of the button, because the default behavior would be to try to submit the form if it's inside of a form. But now we don't care about this. Now it's just a dumb function that we're just gonna, or it's not, the button element isn't even inside of the form, I think, so it shouldn't matter, but we'll see. Now that, on the other hand, is going to be interesting. So onClick is now telling you that this is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Now the reason why it's telling you that this is wrong is because what you have done is that you have said, all right, remove function, call this function with the to-do input. So what's happening is that when JavaScript hits the V8 engine, it's gonna hit line 17 there, and it's going to directly invoke the function. Basically, what you're saying is that in the onClick parameter of the button element, put in whatever the remove function is returning, and that's going to return void, which is not what you want, because what you want is to pass in a function that will be called with the to-do parameter, or the to-do string, right? So if we add an extra lambda function or a closure to the onClick input here, so we say that, all right, just add a lambda function with two parentheses and an arrow that will return the result of remove function, then this will work.
Oh, okay. So that, and we will return this. And we need to, oh, like
Exactly.
this. Okay.
And just to make this super clear, the reason why this is working is because the onClick function, the onClick attribute, the parameter, it wants a function that will just be invoked when you click the element. And now we have given it a lambda function that will return the result of the calling the remove function with the to do. Does that make sense to you?
I understand what you are saying. I'm still looking at the syntax. So, okay. Oh, I know. I think I got it, because whatever is inside of these curly braces, that gets yeah, that's the key information. It gets evaluated immediately, right? When the page is read, this will be evaluated, and without this, it actually like tries to execute this guy already, like on load of the page, maybe? Is that how do I understand it correctly?
So if let's try to understand this concept. Let's go to line 8 and 9 and create a
Mm-hmm.
space between these two. And let's
Mm.
say const foo equals lambda function 1. And just
Bit returning one.
yeah, return
Returning.
1, exactly like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you now if you take if you in the log there, you just add another colon after the to-do string, and you add another parameter to the console log function, and you say just foo on line
Oh,
10.
yeah. Okay.
So you say just foo, and then you make another colon, and then you say foo, and then you add parentheses at the end. So you call that function. So let's try to run this now in your browser and see what happens.
One will print the function, another one will
Exactly.
return the value, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so I will reload and have a look at the console.
Yes.
Move you down for the time being. Thank you very much. And we
Let's
have
move
some
that.
array in here. That's from previous. And then we have what? This is not this. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
this
So
is on the remove, exactly. So you can see there what it actually does. It prints a bar, function
mm-hmm.
returns 1 and 1. And if we now go back and we look at line 18 there, does this make sense? Because before you added the
Yeah.
parentheses and the function, what you were doing was that you were calling the function immediately and then trying to return what the remove function was going to return, and put that in the onClick attribute. And that's not going to work, because that's not what you want. What you want is to just give it a function that will be called when you click the button. Does that make sense? It's the same thing, because on line 9 you are declaring a function, and then on line
Yeah.
10 you, in one case, you just print the function without calling it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you in the third and last parameter you're calling the function, and then it's just going to return the value immediately.
Yeah. I do understand it. I think all the syntax is confusing to me. Well, but I do understand what you are saying, but I kind of feel it's not clicking entirely. Like,
Okay.
why would you? Because then you have like this function and you have like extra invocation on it, and this is not invoked. But when I have like just this, like, I would, what? This meeting has
It's
been
yeah,
abridged.
I don't have a paid account, so it's
Ah,
just
okay.
gonna give me some extra time. Otherwise, we have to.
Pay the money, ransom. Okay.
Nah, yeah, well, we're gonna have to restart the session or something like that until I can find a better streaming solution than this, or like a video conference solution.
Okay. The Hangouts were no good.
Well, not with this microphone for some reason, and let's be honest
Hmm.
here, the value of the video right now is much, like, the latency is much better. Zoom is like much more performant in my experience.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Uh,
So I would expect this to be evaluated, or if I do
mm,
this, no, because like, oh, come on. Yeah. What? How I would? Okay. So this is a function which returns function.
This is a
Okay.
function that returns the value of calling another function inside of it. That's what's happening.
Okay. If I have a look in the sources, like, would I see here something? Like, how would
No,
that?
you're not going to see
No.
it, because
Mm. Okay.
this is just HTML, so you won't see it. So
Mm. All
we
right.
what I'm saying here is pretty much just that if you don't pass a lambda function to the onClick handler like this, and you just say remove function immediately, what's going to happen is that it's going to invoke that function before it evaluates the JSX, the button tag. So that's why you got a compilation error, because you were trying to call a function and then just return the value of that
Yeah,
function.
okay. So it does what I said the first time. So if this one will be gone, so on the first read it will just try to evaluate when the page is load or
Yes.
the okay. Yeah, got it.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's
So
why you need to create it. So it's just
I
it's
thought you said no. That was the confusing part to me. Yeah.
no
I probably misheard. Don't worry about it.
yeah, okay, cool. Then it's no problem. Good. So that's clear then. So now we see that we're getting the to-do string, and it's being passed in correctly to our console log function. But that's not going to help us much, because basically what we want here is to have a way of removing this to-do from our list of to-dos. But we don't have, well, we have the to-dos, but a rule in React is that you never mutate the props. The props should be immutable. And that basically means that you could here try to say props.todos and then .filter or something like that to try to filter
Mhm.
out the to-do that you wanted to remove, but that's not going to work. It's going to be because what we want here is
Why
to,
don't we want to modify the props? Why?
because they are
What problem?
immutable. In other words, they get passed in
Oh,
from the
they are
parent.
immutable. Okay.
Yes. So when you try to mutate them, what basically is going to happen on the next re-render is that you're going to get the value from the top again. Like your parent is passing in properties to you that you don't own. You can read them, but you can't change them because they are owned by the parent. So
See.
what we want is to add a way here to let the parents say, all right, I have seen that, all right, that this to do here is the to do that you want to remove as from this component, and then I will take care of removing it for you. So instead of having a remove function like this, maybe we should
Mhm.
actually put that remove function on the parent so that the remove
Okay.
function gets passed in.
Okay, and so we are in the list. The list is included somewhere, maybe in the index. Bum, bum, bum. No. App. What else was that list? Okay, so that is, yeah, it is over here.
Exactly.
So I
And
will
here you have
put,
declared your to-dos. Yep, exactly like
okay,
that.
so I I copied the function in here.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so so this will be replaced by whatever is inside of the list definition, right?
Yep.
So can we call from inside of the list the function in here?
Yes.
Wouldn't it be, I can, okay, so that's not outside of the scope or whatever.
You can
Okay.
pass it in as a parameter, because in JavaScript you can pass
Ah,
in functions as values.
okay. Okay,
So
so
in
in list here, I would have the second parameter, and that would be the function, right?
no, it's going to be on the props. Remember from our previous session,
On the props.
the props is an object that contains all the values that are passed from the parent.
Okay, apparently I don't. Well, thank you for reminding me.
No, no worries. If you see
I do
it,
appreciate it.
yeah, don't worry about it. This is about your learning, so I have endless patience. Don't worry.
Oh, you
The
do.
well,
It's gonna be tested.
yeah, just go for it. Just try. I've been trained by His Holiness the Dalai Lama himself, so
Oh, really?
yeah, I
You're
have.
doing
We're
meditation.
like BFFs.
Oh,
Anywho,
nice. Say
so
hi for me to him.
so if you take and pass in the remove function now to the list component.
So here I see that. Uh, I'm sorry. Could you please repeat that?
So if you take the function remove function on line 16
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
add it to the input on line of the list component on line 27.
So that would be as the arg attribute of
Exactly.
the list, right? So,
Yeah.
and I
So
say remove function, for example.
yeah, and you can
Can I
call
use the
this.
same name, or is it
Yes,
against something?
you can use the same
Uh,
name.
okay, okay.
You can
Isn't it
call it whatever you want.
like bad coding practice or something?
No, there's no rule around that.
Type to do string remove function. Okay, now the signature stinks. Okay, so we can fix what?
It's gonna be upset because if you go into the list component again,
Mm-hmm.
you notice there on line 3 we have an interface because we're using TypeScript, and because we're using TypeScript the props object
Ah,
doesn't know that, oh, you want to be able to pass in a function here, so you have to say that I want to be able to pass in a function.
well,
And
that
the syntax,
takes string void. Okay,
yep,
remove function, and that
you can
was
just remove the
this.
colon
Okay.
and say function, like you can just give it parentheses immediately. You can use the same signature as you would for
Mm-hmm.
any function. String.
String void like
There's two
this.
there's two because now you're just giving it the word string, but you need to say exactly. There we are. So now you've
Okay,
declared a function. Cool. And you
nice.
see that the remove function there, it's no longer found on line 14, and that is because it
It
is.
should be props.
Yes.
It lives
Good.
in there and it's a remove function. Yeah.
Yes, very good.
Nice. Nice.
I can give you a little tip that you can use as well. You could use
Mm-hmm.
destructuring on the props object, which is a very common and very loved pattern that
Oh,
instead of saying
okay.
props dot everything, you can just destructure out to do's
Okay,
and remove.
so that would be bum bum bum.
On line
I know
8.
the one with the that goes in. How would you do that? Because normally the structuring I use like const like array or object equals to props.
Yep.
So how would I do the structuring in here?
If you go to line 8 and you remove props, that word props, and you switch that to curly braces,
Ah,
and then inside there you say to do's and then colon remove function.
I see. And it is okay. Yeah, so the first one will be the first and the second one will be the second, right?
Well,
That's the important thing, right?
That's
Or
for what happens when you use an array. Then the order
object.
of the keys is the thing that is
Uh-huh.
going to dictate what you get. But here
Okay.
you can switch these two around, because in an object it works like a map. So when you destructure that, it's going to look at the key. And since you have a key here, which says to do, exactly, the order doesn't matter here. You have an extra M there, because
Thank
you
you.
have a key. In an array, it's different. In an array, as you were saying, then it matters which order you get. Then the order matters. But in an object, no. So don't forget to remove the props dot on your two values, because you don't need it anymore. There we are.
Mm-hmm. Ah,
Nice.
nice. Okay, so I put it into the function signature. Okay, and I can keep the type. That's okay. And what I say is here, and in arrays that the order is important, but in the object, it's taking the key names. Okay, okay.
Exactly. So now if we go up to our parent,
Mm-hmm. That was app. It complains.
it complains. And it's complaining for the same reason as it was complaining before. Because you're not passing in a function, you're passing in the return value of the remove function, because you are
Mm-hmm.
invoking that
So
function.
I will be doing this, which if expected argument, one argument, but got 0.
Yeah.
And here it will be to do's. I guess. I forgot what is there. String it is. So to do, okay. So it should be what is inside of that guy. So it will be just to do, not the thing we have here. And I will call it to do string, just not to confuse myself. Did you mean toString? No. I don't have to add that type in here,
So
I
let's
believe.
just back this up now, because
Mm-hmm.
we're not a little bit unsure what we're doing right now. So
Okay.
the reason why it's complaining is because you've declared a variable called toDoString that isn't found in the scope of this function. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the signature, if you look at the lambda function that you have declared, you see that the parentheses are empty.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
that means that there is no there is no to do string that can be passed into the remove function. So
I
you
see.
have to add you have to add to do string in there, so that the when the remove function is being called from the child component, it actually will, because that's what it's going to do. It's going to pass in the to do string into the child into this function.
Mm-hmm.
So now, if you try to save this, it should show you. So now it has another complaint.
It's not assignable to type
It says to do
intrusive.
string colon any. So if you say colon string after to do string in the signature, because
Any
not any string.
string.
So now, if you check the signature, if you check the remove function, you'll see that it has another issue, which is that it says, okay, to do string returns void, is not assignable to type list props property remove function does not exist on type list props. So if you copy paste the name of the remove function, you'll see that it doesn't match what you have in the props. It says remove
Okay.
function, not function. There's a typo.
Oh, thank you. Okay. How would I? Okay, I want to see the error. What was it? So to do's remove function
It's the last line.
is not okay. A property remove function does not exist on type, intrinsic attributes, and list props. And where is this intrinsic attributes and list props coming from?
So this is a combination, like it's a union type between intrinsic
Mm-hmm.
attributes and list props, and we created the
Ah,
list
okay.
props, and the intrinsic attributes are coming from React.
Uh-huh. So we created the list props.
It's a combination of
Uh,
these two things.
And the list props that would be on the list. Oh, okay. I
Yep.
see. Okay, I totally forgot. Oh. Sorry, did not mean to test your patience already.
I told you. I told you. Like all I need is one single walk in this. Well, it's sunny now, which is great, because then I can go on my lunch walk later, and then I walk around in the forest, and I get all tranquil again and all deep and profound. Well, at
Oh
least I
yeah,
like
the
it.
the forest is so beautiful. I like it. Like from. Oh really? It is.
Yeah. Oh, you see. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot. I actually forgot that. Yeah, you may have seen my
I
forest.
I did see from your videos.
I keep on forgetting this over and over, that I have people who sometimes actually watch the thing that I make, because like, I mean, I don't watch my own videos. So, well, apart from
Yeah.
just making sure that it makes sort of sense and that the video audio is not horrible. But one thing that I have a slight issue with line 27, and that the thing that I have an issue with here is something that is very common.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll teach you something that makes you a JavaScript pro immediately. So
Hey.
if you have a function that has the same signature as another function, you don't have to do this. You don't have to create a lambda function around the function that you want to call. If you look at the lambda function, it says to do string, and then it's going to call remove function with that same value. So instead of doing that, you can just do what we did in the console log on line 18. Just pass in remove function without the parentheses, so that instead of calling it, you will just pass it in as a value, and then you let the child component invoke that function when it needs it. So if you remove the parentheses to do strings and the arrow to the remove function, and then you remove the parentheses from the remove function.
Like you mean the curly braces? This thing like?
No, from
or
the function. So you remove that part exactly.
Okay.
And you remove, and like that. And this is now also going to work, because what you did is that you just took the function that you created and you just pass it in, and then it's going to be called when we click that button. Before, we had a lambda function that would be called when the button was clicked, and then it would call the remove function for us. So it just wrapped what you just added one function that called another function with the same input. So instead of doing that, instead of having two functions, we just have one function, and that creates that removes that extra waste.
Okay, so the difference is like with the lambda function, we would effectively have like copies, like for each of the remove function for each of the list items. And here we have just some kind of like singleton. Everything is pointing to that one, or am I understanding
No,
it wrong?
that's not how it works. What I'm saying is
Mm-hmm.
that previously you had two functions where
Mm-hmm.
when you call the first function, it's going to call the second function with the same input. So instead of
Mm-hmm.
doing that, you would just have one function and just pass it
And
in
put
like
it in
this.
directly.
Yeah,
Okay,
indirectly,
got it.
exactly. So
Got it.
now, if we click if you try to restart the application and try to hit the remove button, this should all work now.
Yay. Okay.
Something, submit, and then you can say remove, and then it's just going to console log, because
Nice.
the last part hasn't been done yet. And the last part that we need to do is that we need to filter out the to-do that we don't want in the list anymore.
Okay, so we will say to-dos filter, and we pass in a function, some callback function, and it will do something inside of there. So we will filter the for it will be do yeah, let's call it to do, and then we want okay, bad naming, oh whatever, and if my thinking is to create if okay, I will create it like this, if, and I will say to do string equals to do, I will remove the element, but I don't know how.
So if it's equal to the to-do, well, then we don't want to return it, right? Because a filter function, what this basically does is that it goes over all the elements in our list and it checks, oh, should I return this to the new array that we will create? Is this element, this thing that I'm checking, is that going to be in the new array, or is it not going to be in the new array? And if we have
Yeah.
found the to-do string, then we don't want that to be returned. Then we want to say false, because then we shouldn't return
Okay.
it.
So it will be to do not equal to do string x. So okay,
Yeah.
and we can assign it to do's.
We can't assign it to to-dos because we can, as I was saying earlier, React will not let you mutate that value. So what you need to use is the set to-dos function, because the hook, it gives us two things. It gives us the value, and it gives us a function that allows us to set that value.
and we want to set it. Okay,
Exactly.
so we will say
Set
to
to-dos.
do's, set to do's.
No,
I see. Okay.
and now we want to
There's a
just set that array of to-dos to the new array, which is not going to include the element we just removed.
okay. Where is this set to do's function coming? That's generated by React,
It's
or
on
did we?
line 8.
God damn it. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay, and I can inline this. I forgot. Inline. Go. Okay. Yeah, but we did not set it. It's coming. Okay, this one is destructured. So we have the to-dos, then we have the set to-dos, and that lives like somewhere in the React. Okay, and then we used it to set to change it, and we have to use this one. Otherwise, React will not be aware of the changes we did to that array,
Exactly.
right? Okay, got it. Got it.
So if you now try to, well, you have an extra semicolon there on line 20, and you can probably remove the console log as well, and the like line 18 and 19 aren't needed anymore, and line 22 is not needed either. Like, well, we can still keep it if you want to, but. And now let's save this code and let's try it in the application. Let's see if we can remove some stuff.
Mm. Yay! One, two, 3, 4.
There you are. That is a
Nice.
fairly decent to-do application right there.
That's cool.
Yeah, so
That's cool.
that's pretty much, I think that that's a pretty good first step. So my thinking here is that we'll end the session for today, and
Mm-hmm.
then let's have a think about how, if we should continue with this application, or if we should pick another more complicated application and see if we can add on top of the knowledge that we've had right so far. Because now
Mm-hmm.
we have basically learned the basics of how to work with the React application. Like the things that you have learned in these two sessions that we've had together is that's like almost 80% of all the work that you're going to do with React.
Mm-hmm.
And then the remaining 20% is going to be things such as shared state. Let's say that, for the sake of argument, that we had two components. Let's say that we had another component that needed information from a second component, like we needed to share that information somehow. That's when you will need to figure out how to, all right, how can, an example, these to-dos, they only exist inside of this component, but if I want to give this information, these to-dos, to another component that is not a child of the app component, because I can't just pass it down, it's something that lives together in some other place of the application, how will we share that information? How are we going to pass the to-dos? And that's when we have usually two options open to us. We have a thing called the app context, and we have something called Redux. You may have heard about Redux. It's a very famous library to do this sort of work. And so I think that for the next session, we'll have a look at how we can work with something like Redux. Or if you have a preference, is there something else you would like to look at? Because I think that if you want to get to all the way to understand how to work with React in a live application, which is pretty much going to consist of a few components such as these. I'm open to suggestions, but I think that the next step should be to learn about Redux, or possibly about React Router, or we can also have a look at how to set this up from scratch so that you know that as well.
Well, sharing some structure between the components sounds good to me. So the Redux, I think, sounds awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then let's have a look at that in our next session, and then the question is whether or not we should continue on this, or if we should
create a new
Create a
application
new
or new project.
application.
Yeah, we could use that also to not create the project automatically and maybe go through the setup of the React project. You said that
I
that's important.
It is important, but it's also complicated in the sense that
Oh,
it's going to most likely take it's probably going to take a session to walk
mm-hmm.
you through how to set up a React project without using Create React App. That's my guess. It will take pretty much an entire session because there are a lot of concepts and we need to go through them each one in order to understand what's actually going on. But let's decide that on the next session,
Okay.
and let's just leave this project for now, and maybe we create something new or we add something functionality to this project. We'll see in the next session.
Okay. Would love to just recapitulate what we did,
Yeah.
if I got the points right. So we were basically just removing the uh, uh, rebuild it, whatever. So we were removing the to-dos, and what I mistakenly wanted to do is to remove it inside of the component which is responsible for the lists in here.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a problem because actually we are building this list based on the to-dos which we are passing from the application. So the right thing would not be to change the element by itself, but to change the array which is used to build the list.
Yes,
So that would be the one takeaway.
that is absolutely
Okay.
correct. As a
Mm-hmm.
general rule of thumb, as I was saying earlier, the props on the props object, all the things that are passed in, should be treated as immutable. You are not allowed to change those values in a child because the only place that it's okay to change the values is where they are stored. In other words, on line 9. That's the only place that you're allowed to do it.
Okay, so if I try, like, it will give me some error or it
You
will
can
break
try.
or
Let's see
something.
what happens.
Okay.
Let's try to change the to-dos. Let's try to the to-dos there and just set to-dos equal to, I don't know, a string or something called foo in this component here.
Okay.
Say to-dos equals
To-dos. Okay, so where do I do that? Because here I'm in that, here's the function, here is some execution of that. Okay, so I will do
on
it in
line
here.
9.
On
If
line 9.
if you say
Okay.
to-dos equals empty array on line 9, what happens?
It has a problem. Null is not assignable to type string. Okay,
Empty
so
array.
let's say
Yep.
that.
And let's try to run
Uh,
this code.
okay, so I'll save it. And now it's empty.
Yep.
I put something in there.
And that's a problem now because what's happened is that you have mutated this value from the to-dos. So whenever this list gets re-rendered, there's nothing coming in because you're overwriting the value that you're getting from the parent. That's why you need to treat it as immutable. You can change the remove function as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah, but the remove function is now living on in here, right? And if I say here's the place where I should. Okay, so I'm using the set to dos, right? So let's say I will say not set to dos, but to dos will be equal to empty array. So now it's complaining assign the const. Okay. Yeah, so I cannot do that because of that, but let's say I would define it as something which I can change. Now it will not complain. And if I go here, I expect to have something in the beginning. But if I try, okay, I can add now. That's okay. But as I remove anything, I will lose everything, maybe. Okay. So this kind of works, but I'm expecting, like, behind the scenes, if I have a look, do I have it on scope, the to-dos?
No,
If
you
I
don't have
say,
it on the
okay,
window object.
okay, but I would expect that now it's empty, maybe. But when I reload it, it will be populated again.
Well, if you remember, the set to dos function is not necessarily going as you move line 18 to line. You should switch line 18 and line 17. Try it again.
Reload, or maybe save here. Oh, it did it. Okay. So 1 to 3. Okay, now I will remove bar, and I have
Now it's all gone.
disappeared.
And that is because you're mutating the value. You're resetting the to-dos array to nothing, and then you say set to-dos, which is going to re-render the page and update the array, or update the re-render the list component. So,
okay, so
it's a very good rule. Like, you should, as I was saying, always treat everything that is an immutable thing. Don't try to mutate values directly like this. You have a set to do's function to mutate the state, and when you're passing in props, treat those props as immutable in the child.
treat it as immutable. Okay, okay, that was the word. Yeah, okay.
Treat
So
it as immutable.
theoretically, you can do it, but it's really bad for your application.
Yes.
Or bad practice. Okay, good. And then I was struggling a little bit with the passing the functions in, and that was here. Yeah, I did reference it in here right away, but we had another place when we did pass it in as this. Could I also here? Well, here I cannot remove this guy because I need to pass in the parameter. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, well. Yeah, I don't want to waste your time. I think I will have a go on it and play a little bit around it with it. I think I got it, but I want to make sure that I got exactly right.
Play around a little bit with
yes.
it. I mean,
Okay.
the whole purpose of these exercises is just to learn the basics so that we can build on top of that knowledge and then do even more stuff. So there's nothing wrong here. We're just playing around. There's no prestige, there's no pressure, there's nothing. We see what works and see what doesn't work, and then we try to learn from it.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Cool.
So
all right.
I will end this session now because I need to have some lunch, and then I'm probably gonna go for another forest walk, and you may see it in I don't know, at like Christmas or something, because I have so much stuff queued up. Like, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
well,
yeah. Like, it's insane. Like, all people keep on asking me, why are you like? Can you make a video? And I yeah, sure, I can make a video. It's just that you're gonna see it in like 3 months, because I have literally videos for 3 months queued up.
Oh, that's amazing.
If you see, it's not that, it's nothing. I mean, it's because it becomes so. I mean, each video is like what, 5, 8, 10 minutes, something like that, and I usually make 3 or 4 per day, so that's gonna add up. So
Are you still making the videos inside of the bathtub?
Of course I am.
Yeah, my girlfriend calls you the guy from the bathtub.
Well, my girlfriend's trying to get me. She calls me the bathtub coder. That's what she wants.
Oh, that's awesome!
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
awesome nickname.
Yes,
bathtub
I
coder.
thought so too. It was a really good nickname. So
That's awesome.
I
Oh,
was
yeah.
I'm thinking because she's asked for me for a present, and I'm gonna give it to her because I want it as much as she wants it. Where print up a T-shirt with the logo of a bathtub or something like that, and I'll wear that in the bathtub when I do my talks. That's gonna be awesome. My own personal branded T-shirt. That's gonna be cool.
That's that's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
That's I love it. I
Yeah,
love it. I
I
love
love
it.
it. I thought that she that's I mean that's why I date her because she's clever. But anywho, dude, this was awesome. So
Oh, it
let's.
was the pleasure is all on my side. I do appreciate it very much. Thank you for
Oh,
spending time
no,
with
no
me.
worries at all. I'm happy to help out. So we can schedule something for next week or the week after and so forth. I hope that you understand that. Yeah, I have like a few hours every week because I'm fairly busy. So we'll do it probably if it's possible next week. And I also have to
Eh.
finish up a tech talk presentation I'm doing for this conference or stuff like that. But
Oh, really? You will do speech. What's
yeah,
the
I
topic?
will.
Is it secret?
No, no, it's not secret. They've asked me to. I was called up for a Node.js conference, and they wanted me to do a presentation. So I'm basically putting
All
together
right.
a lot
That's
of.
cool.
It's gonna be on testing in Node and different practices and tools and like how you do that sort of stuff. And it's basically just a big mashup of all the stuff that I've showed in previous videos on my channel, but in one single
Cool.
presentation. But so,
What's the conference name?
what was it now? I can't
Is
remember.
it
I
in
think they've asked me to like mention it on the channel, so I told them that sure because I there are two.
in Fremont?
No, no, it's on at the end of this month. The conference is
Oh,
at like the 28th or the 30th of May or something like that. But
that one
yeah,
is in Sweden?
no, it's online. It's gonna be an online
It's
conference.
online. Oh, I
But
probably would like to join that.
yeah, it's the one that there's two. There are paid tickets and then there are free tickets. But I picked to be a free speaker because I like
Uh-huh.
told them like I don't promote things. Like I just don't. Because
Yeah.
I just want to help people out, and I wouldn't be if I'm gonna say something about it in like a video or something like that or post something on YouTube, I want to make sure that there is a free option so that if I'm gonna speak, if you want to join, then you can join and see me for free. But there are of course other speakers like from Google and Amazon, or I don't remember. I think Netflix is going to be there as well.
Oh,
Right, but
big
I'll.
guns.
Yeah, exactly. I told them my one disappointment is that I can't. I want the guy from Google to introduce me. That would be my dream. Maybe if I get a few more million subscribers, I might get there.
Even if it would be like cleaning lady. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I'll buy the Google T-shirt and give it to some random person and just have that person introduce me. Oh, and this is Frederick.
This is really
That should get me some higher ratings on the channel. I'm pretty sure. But dude, it was great talking to you, and I'll see you later.
pleasure on my side.
Bye bye.
Hey, bye bye.